everybody, manifestors. Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you may be on this weird, strange bubble of ours. I'm 𝗏𝗏 back with another video. Listen, sometimes it's good to get back to basics. I've been thinking about that the other day. We get into these complicated subjects sometimes, and we get off track a little bit, maybe even. Sometimes it's good to remind ourselves of the basics of manifesting, and also to recognize that way that manifesting is really pretty basic, pretty simple, and pretty easy. In fact, you're doing it all the time, right? I say that all the time, but it's true. You're doing it all the time. It's like gravity. Gravity doesn't just stop working, right? It's always, whether you're sitting, standing, jumping, whatever it is, it's always there. You may not think about it all the time. You know, why would you? When you sit around and think about gravity all the time, you fall on your butt because you stumbled. You don't, curse gravity. Oh, it doesn't work. No, it's always working. Okay. Of course, what we have with gravity, just like we have with manifesting, is that you can have it work in your favor, you can have it work against you, okay? If you're going to jump out a window of a tall building, gravity is not going to be working in your favor unless you have a parachute, okay? If you learn to work within that force, right, which we do. I mean, we have these spacesuits called bodies, and we jump and climb and run and walk and everything. So we have learned to make gravity work in our favor. Now we're learning to make this manifestational force work in our favor. It's always working. It's always on. You can't turn it off, okay? The thing is that most of us don't know how to use it, or we don't understand that it's there. We're not aware of it, okay? That it's working. So, so oftentimes unwanted things may occur, and we go, what in the world made that happen? Okay. But if you think about it, all right, if you think about it, if you sit down and you think about it, you can take a look at your kind of common state of consciousness, your common theme, the things that you preoccupy your thoughts with most of the time, the way you feel most of the time, will give you a real clear understanding of, I see how that came into being in my life. I see how I manifested this thing that I didn't really care about so much. It seemed to drop out of the blue, but now kind of looking back, I can see how that is coming in as kind of a reflection of a state of mind and a thought pattern that I had been practicing. Okay. And this brings us to, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit here, guys. This brings us to the first manifestational principle that I want to talk about in this video. Okay. And it's really just all about self-observation. All right. I made a little note there. Just make sure I said that right. It's about self-observation. And I said this a lot in my coaching practice to clients, that, really any real understanding of manifesting has to begin with that self-observation and that self-awareness, and understanding the power that you are exercising all the time, your creative power all the time, even when you're not aware of it, even when you're manifesting things that you're like, I don't like that. You're going to do that. Okay. And it's fine, because again, we're sort of like learning to walk out here, just like we did when we were toddlers. We learned how to deal with gravity. Toddlers can't really walk. They're kind of wobbly. They get up and then they fall down on their butt. Then they get up again and again and again. Eventually, they're experts at walking. That's how it's going to be with manifesting, okay? Same concept. But becoming aware of your sort of predominant state of consciousness, your predominant state of mind throughout the course of your day is a vital first step towards really mastering this power of manifesting, this creative power. So self-observation is key here. And of course, many people don't do it. Who knows why? I mean, it's scary, I suppose, to observe yourself. It's scary to engage with sort of, I worry a lot about my health, and therefore I have a lot of aches and pains, right? I can see that happening. I can see the connection there, but we don't really want to look at those things. Especially beginning students of manifesting tend to think, because they read something somewhere, that, you must chase away all negative thoughts. You must drown them out. You must suppress them. If you have even one, horrible things will happen. None of that is true, okay? Because you're already practicing certain patterns of thinking and certain ideas about yourself and the world that are not serving you so well right now. We're all doing it, okay? On some level or another, we're all doing it, all right? So becoming aware of that, it helps you to understand and really really bring the power back to yourself, okay? To say, I am a manifester, I am a creator, I see how I've been creating the things that haven't been so pleasing to me. But I know now through that I can turn that around. Now that I know that it's me, all right? And, we have a tendency to blame the world, blame others, anyone but ourselves. It's not about blaming anything or anyone. It's not about blaming yourself even. This isn't about saying, oh, it's my fault that this thing happened. It's about taking responsibility and understanding, oh, I see how that happened. But we can only do that really if we begin to observe ourselves, right? So you want to really just lean into your reactions to certain things that are happening in your life, okay? So, when you have a subject come up, how are you reacting to it? How are you responding to it? We live in the age of being triggered by everything, okay? People are triggered by this, they're triggered by that. But, again, we try to chase that away, right? Like, well, just the problem is the thing that's triggering me, so chase it away. Get rid of it. Get rid of that person, whatever it is. Instead of saying, well, let's go inside and let's understand why I'm reacting to this thing in this way. What belief do I have kicking around inside myself that's no longer serving me, that is causing these difficulties in my life? Because if you're trying to solve things on the external and chasing away the thing the boogeyman, the thing that you think is bad, you're doing it the wrong way around, okay? You're going to keep having things like that pop up in your reality until you really get into the self-observation and really sit down with yourself and say, why does this issue keep coming up? What do I have to believe? What would I have to believe about myself or that subject or anything in the world in order for that to keep reoccurring? That's a great way to start really self-analyzing and self-observing and saying, oh, I see, a lot of people around me have been getting sick. That's because I've been really preoccupied with thoughts about my own mortality, my own body, getting older, whatever it is. Okay. I see a lot of poverty, or I seem to always have problems with money. Well, what belief do I have kicking around that might be causing that to keep reoccurring in my life? I need to start looking on the inside at my internal state of consciousness to be able to understand the connection between it and what is happening externally in my physical reality. Because remember, it's a reflection of your internal state every single time, okay? So, to learn that habit of self-observation is an important first step towards becoming a really, really powerful creator and manifester, to say that, I'm going to stop blaming the world. I'm going to stop blaming everybody else. I'm going to stop trying to chase away all the boogeymen in my reality. And I'm going to go to the source of this thing. And now once I understand that, I can release it. I can let it go. I can think of the opposite condition, because out of the things that we don't want, that we experience, are born our new desires. Okay. And that's what brings us clarity. And that leads us to number 2 on the list. Clarity of thought, or clarity in general, clarity about your desire, or in other words, knowing exactly what it is that you want. Now, I run into this a lot with students, and I run into this in my life. Oftentimes I get confused, or I think, I don't know what I want right now. I don't know what direction I want to go in. I don't know how I want this thing to turn out necessarily. Maybe I want 100 things at once. Maybe I just want one thing. I've been asked this a lot. People go, well, what if I have 20 different desires? Or what if I'm trying to create this and that and the other thing at the same time? And what that usually tells me is that the person is experiencing confusion about what they want. Okay. They haven't really gotten down to the core of what it is they're really after. They haven't really clarified the desire for themselves. And so, like I mentioned before, that clarity does come automatically, really. Often it comes automatically out of experiencing unwanted things, which, of course, now that you're going to practice the first principle that I mentioned, which is to observe yourself, okay? You're going to understand why and how the unwanted things are occurring or recurring in your physical reality. But out of that, you're going to become more aware of the desires that you're creating. So instead of letting everything just run on autopilot, you're just going to be observing and becoming more aware of what's going on internally with you. So, you might go, I don't like this money situation. Well, through self-observation, I can see how I keep bringing that about in my life. Now, what is the opposite of that condition? I switch my focus to that now. I fill in the details of it, okay? What would a life of wealth be like? Who would I be on the inside if I was living in this abundance that I seek? How would I act? How would I walk and talk and be in the world? What would I be doing on a regular basis? And you can get, really detailed about this if you want. And this is where scripting comes in. This also helps you get clarity, okay? What's your lifestyle like with a bunch of money? I'm just using money as an example here. What's your lifestyle like? If it's a specific person you're after, a relationship with them. Sometimes people, I'm going to be honest about this, when it comes to the specific people thing, oftentimes people don't know what it is they want with their specific person. I get a lot of clients and people viewing these videos who that is specifically what they're interested in, is to manifest an ex back or manifest a specific person. But so often if I was to ask them, and I ask coaching clients, well, what is it you really want with this person? What's your vision about your life with this person? They don't know. Or they kind of stutter and go, well, I don't know. I want them to call me. But why? Do you want a relationship? Do you see yourself married to them? Do you see yourself having children with them? Now, a lot of you will have that clarity and you know exactly what it is you want. But a lot of people don't. They don't. They sort of go, minute to minute, day by day, just hoping for some kind of attention from them. And then I kind of help guide a little bit, and I say, well, maybe what you want is that attention. Maybe what you want is, maybe that's what will satisfy you. But, maybe what you want is, just to get that phone call, just for them to acknowledge you and to show that they care. Sometimes that's all that people want out of that specific type of desire. Okay. You need to understand and ask yourself, what is it I really want out of this situation? What is it I want, out of my, who do I want to be? How do I want to be? How do I want to show up in the world? How do I want to be seen in the world? These are all questions that you need to answer for yourself, because this second step of clarity of thought and knowing what it is you want is crucial in the deliberate manifesting process. Now, of course, like I said, you don't have to do any of this stuff, okay? You're manifesting all the time, and you can just go through your life happy-go-lucky and manifest both wanted and unwanted things left and right, and live normal and never think about this stuff ever again. But if you want to be, and that's perfectly fine, but if you want to be a deliberate creator, you need to start paying better attention to, your inner state of being, how you're showing up in the world and to yourself on a regular basis, and then formulating clear, detailed ideas out of that on what it is you want, how you want your life to be. If you're after a new job, what does that mean? I mean, so many people just go, well, I've been applying for this, I've been applying for that. It's not that they know the new job they want. It's that they want so badly out of the old job. That's another one, right? It's not so much that people want the relationship or the desired person back, the specific person. It's that they so desperately don't want to be alone anymore. Okay. It's not that people want the pile of money necessarily. It's that they so desperately don't want to be without. So oftentimes, instead of formulating a clear idea of what it is you want, people are just kind of going about their lives trying to avoid the things that they don't want. And they think that thing is the only thing that's going to help them avoid the bad feeling, always being stressed or lonely or depressed or sad or whatever it is, okay? Hating your job. So they'll sort of in desperation pick the next thing or the different thing, the next job, anyone that will have them. And then turns out they're just as miserable in that job as they were in the previous job, because they didn't really take the time to formulate a clear picture for themselves of what it is they're looking for. Okay. So, a great way to do this is really just simply thinking of the opposite condition of the thing that you're currently experiencing that you're not liking and enjoying so much. What is it about your current job that you're not enjoying so much? Well, then what is the opposite? I hate my boss. Well, what would be the opposite of that? A great boss. Good. What does that look like? How does your boss act? How do they treat you? Right? I want a great work environment. I want a certain location. I want a certain salary. I want a certain position. put yourself in that, okay? You got to put yourself in that position as if you're already occupying that position, that state of being. This is very Neville Goddard oriented, guys, okay? Very simple. Go to the end result. But you can't go to the end result of your desire if you don't know what your desire is, really. If you haven't really hammered it out, okay? And I think so many times people just go, well, I just want to get away from this thing that I'm in now. And I want to get over there very quickly and very desperately. But you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that, okay? You want to really do yourself the favor and sit down and really figure out and hammer out in detail what it is you want. I think Abraham Hicks calls this filling in your grid. It's just another way to look at it, another terminology for it. But really what you want to do, if it helps to sit down and write it out, perfect. If it helps to sit down and make a big detailed list on all the aspects of what you want and really hammer it out and get clear about it, perfect. You can do it by sitting and meditating, whatever works for you, okay? But do it, all right? Get in a relaxed state and really think about, okay, what would actually make me happy right now? What would improve my condition right now? If I want the new job, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Where is it? How much am I getting paid? Who am I working with? Who's my boss? How do they treat me? How do I feel going to work every day? Am I excited? Yeah, of course, right? What am I excited about the most? I want purpose in life. I want to be needed. So what am I doing in my job that's important and that's giving back? And whatever it is that you can think of, anything that you can think of. And I want this to be a thing that you really aim high. Okay, this is important. Don't limit yourself in this. People do that too a lot. They limit themselves. Well, I can have $10,000. Aim high as you can. If you can imagine it, then it's already a reality out there. Every possible outcome already exists in the universe. It's just a matter of you tapping into it with your frequency, with your awareness, with your consciousness, okay? So becoming clear, clarity of thought, extremely important second step in this process. Now, the third principle and last principle that I'm going to discuss here, and very, very important. So last but not least, and you've heard this many times, guys, detachment. Okay. Now, I want to put another spin on this, because when we talk about detachment in these teachings, we're often talking about detaching from the outcome, right? And so what does detaching from the outcome mean? It just simply means that when you have your clarity of desire, all right? So first you become aware of where you're at with your state of being, with your state of mind on a regular basis, self-analysis, self-observation. Then out of that, you form your clarity of thought, the clarity of your desire. Now that you're clear on what it is that you want to detach from it in terms of needing it to be, right? This is often where people trip up too. They go, well, now I need this thing. It's not happening. They're always watching. They're always keeping score. They're always seeing, where is it? Oh, I see the signs. Does that mean something? And that is really a consciousness of not having it. It's of needing it to happen. Because if you need it to happen desperately, you're not really believing that you're having it already. You're not really living in the state of having it. Because if you were living in the state of having it, you wouldn't be worried about it. You wouldn't feel you need it, okay? So that's the sort of very common basic detachment, and what we mean when we say that is the detachment of outcome, okay? And that's very important, all right? It's kind of adopting the attitude, and again, it takes practice to adopt the attitude of saying, well, I really want this thing, but I don't need it right now. If it doesn't work out, this minute, I'll be okay. And that's really about making your life fun, exciting, interesting, going after the things that you love to do, getting into your passions, having good friends, being healthy, the things that are going to make you happy to get up every day, so that you're not getting up every day and go, well, today's going to be an awful day because I don't have the thing I desire yet. Okay. Instead, getting up in the morning and going, every day is awesome. Oh, and the thing maybe it's not here yet, but it's coming, and I'm fine without it right now. And I know it's coming together. It will come together much quicker with that kind of attitude, you see, and much smoother. So you want to have the detachment from outcome. Now, here's the second aspect of detachment that I want to talk about, because there's two sides to this coin. There's not only detachment from outcome, but you have to detach yourself from your current situation. All right. You have to detach yourself from the reality right now as it is, that is not so pleasing to you. I discussed that a little bit when I talked about how to detach from the outcome, right? And, a great way to do that is to, like I said, is to get involved in your life, that's where these techniques really come in when we talk about practicing appreciation, when we talk about making lists at the end of each day, listing the things that went well during that day, because, we have a habit, we human beings, we crazy monkeys, of sitting around at the end of each day and playing the shit that happened that we don't like over and over and over in our heads until we get ourselves into a tizzy about it. And of course, what are we doing then? We're just manifesting more of that all the time, right? Because again, that comes back to step one, which is self-observation. Because if we're not aware that we're doing that all the time, we can't change it up. We can't switch it around. So a good way to begin to practice in the opposite direction is to really, at the end of each day, I like to take the score of what went well that day, what went right that day. And if something happened that was really kind of, that was horrible, go back to my video on revision. That's a good thing to practice as well. Okay. You can just reimagine the thing turning out the way that you would prefer and practice that until it feels real to you. Okay. But really, I think a better way to go, or at least for me, is to really focus on the things that went well. And because we have a tendency and a habit of focusing only on the things that didn't go so well and highlighting them and blowing them up in our minds, that we don't ever pay attention to the things that went well. And throughout the course of an average day, you'd be surprised at all the awesome things that happen to you, but that just kind of go in and like whoosh, through your mind like that, right? That you don't really engage with, you don't think about, you don't practice appreciation about it. So I want you to capture those things. I want you to capture those moments, put them down on paper, all right? Just a little daily journal. It doesn't have to be complicated, all right? It doesn't have to be a huge list, but you might find that it's a huge list, because once you think of one thing that went well, and it could be as simple as a stranger threw me a smile, I felt really good. That made me feel really good. Simple things like that. Somebody let me pass in traffic. Somebody was really kind to me. Somebody paid me a compliment. It could be simple things like that. That will lead then snowball to other thoughts, other things that you didn't think about. You go, oh, and then this thing happened too. Oh, and right. And then that thing. Oh, right. And then I found a $5 bill. Oh, and then that guy called and offered me this thing and you forget. It's amazing how easily people forget the things that went right in their lives and are so preoccupied with the one thing maybe that went wrong. I had a couple of friends a while back that we were sitting around and hanging out, and, he said, I had a horrible day. And then my other friend said to him, she said, did you have a horrible day, or did one thing happen and you just kept thinking about it over and over again, which made your day feel horrible, right? So, and she was right. I mean, she hit it on the nose. That's what we do. I want you to practice doing that with the good things. I want you to blow those things up in your mind. Okay. So that's one great way to sort of detach from the current circumstance that may not be so pleasing to you. Even if you say you have a job that you don't care so much about, there's always going to be something good you can think about in terms of that job. Okay. I want you to focus on those things, all right? That's detaching from the way it is. So there's two aspects to this number 3 step of detachment. There's detaching from outcome, not needing it to happen. And the second part of it, the B part of it, is detaching from the current situation, detaching from what is, if what is not pleasing to you right now, okay? So that's very, very, very important, guys, all right? So those are the 3 basic principles of manifesting. I mean, really, it's so simple, isn't it? Maybe not always simple at first in practice, but practice is the key word here. This is a practice. It's a lifelong practice, right? And you'll get better at it. It will become easier until it just becomes second nature to you. You'll see, all right? And of course, I'm talking to people here that are both sort of beginners at this, but even if you're advanced, sometimes it's nice to kind of have a refresher and come back to what are the basics of this thing, because we get so lost in that thing and that reading and this other thing that we forget, and I've sometimes forgotten. Okay. So sometimes I go back to the very basic kind of stuff, sometimes I go back to the first books I've ever read on manifesting. Right. And I might look at them now and go, God, that's so basic 101. I know this stuff, but you'd be surprised. Like even I will go, oh, right, I forgot about that part of it. Oh, I forgot about this. It's so basic and so simple, but sometimes it's good to go back, right? Go back to your old notes if you do that kind of thing. I keep notes. I highlight a lot of things in the books that I read. I've done that over the years, and I have my whole collection on my Kindle device. And, I go in there and I'll find like a book that I read 5 years ago. Oh, I remember this one. And it's so basic and simple that I kind of chuckle to myself like, oh, wow, I've really advanced from that. But then there's always going to be something in there where I go, oh, yeah, right. I forgot about that, because we do. So it's good to get back to the simple part of it. Because if you find yourself kind of feeling overwhelmed in this manifesting jazz that we do, the best thing to do at that point is simplify it, minimalize. It means you're trying to do too much at once. You're too attached to the outcome. You're too attached to your current physical reality that you're observing. Pull back a little bit and go back to the basic principles. Reread things that you read years ago, okay? Even if to you it seems a little bit simplistic now, read it anyway, okay? Because it's good to strip the stuff of all the fat that we tend to put on it, because it really is that simple to manifest. It's not complicated, okay, guys? And it's easy. It's easy peasy. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that's helped you. I hope that's clarified some things for you. If it did, then please like this video. If you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe, share it with anyone you might think would benefit from it, and comment whatever you want to comment. All right. I'm Tarkan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, happy manifesting, and bye-bye.